My name is Greg Johnson. I'd like to give you a direct vision of the Lebanese Civil War, with Beirut, the capital, being the center of our attention. Both Christians and Muslims managed to completely destroy the city. Now, before we start, I want to let you know that all the people we've asked for an interview refuse. Every last one of them. All told me they were concerned about ramifications about their opinion. So, I like to carry on and try to weave my story with their story and the original story. Now, to get a better understanding of Beirut, we need to go back to the beginning of the war and see what the hell really happened. One thing, I remember as a kid, we used to play cowboys and Indians, which was bad enough in itself. But take a look at these kids. All they know is war, and as you can see, these kids are ready for the real thing. See what I mean? So with that, let's look at the timeline. This is Beirut.
In April 1975, Christian Phalangist gunmen ambushed a bus in the Muslim district of Beirut, killing Palestinian passengers. Reports are confused, but it appears the gunmen attacked the bus, killing at least 27 and injuring about 20 more as it drove through a Christian suburb of Beirut. The Phalangist Christians was the major fighting force of the right-wing coalition during the Civil War and received aid and weapons from Israel, while its enemies were receiving aid from the PLO and other Arab countries. They claimed that guerrillas had previously attacked a church in the same district. These clashes start the Civil War. On December 6, 1975, the bodies of 4 of the rightist party, primarily Maronite Christians, were found in an abandoned car outside the state-owned power plant in Christian-dominated East Beirut. After this act, the Phalangist militiamen in the city went into a frenzied rage, blaming the killings on the Lebanese National Movement, LNM, dominated by leftist Muslims and Palestinians. Phalange forces attacked Muslims throughout Christian-dominated East Beirut, indiscriminately firing into the crowds. Tens or hundreds of Muslim hostages were snatched off city streets and either killed or later released for ransom. This was called Black Saturday. Let's stop and talk about the Maronite Christians for a few seconds. Maronites have many orthodox beliefs but are loyal to the Vatican. Fighters, allegedly led by Joseph Sadeh, whose son was one of the 4 murdered, began putting up checkpoints on major roads. At these, passing cars and pedestrians were intercepted and ordered to show their Lebanese identity cards. Any Palestinians who, as refugees, were stateless and had no ID cards, or Lebanese Muslims, Lebanese identity cards indicated religious affiliation, were killed on the spot. In an orgy of bloodletting, several hundred people were murdered in a few hours, most of them civilian. Estimations of the total number of victims range between 200 and 600. Muslims are the opposite of the equation. Immediately afterwards, the LNM attacked Phalangist positions in retaliation. Major combat raged in the capital and much of the surrounding countryside. The Karantina massacre took place early in the Lebanese Civil War on January 28, 1976. In June 1976, Syrian troops entered Lebanon to restore peace but also to curb the Palestinians, thousands of whom are killed in a siege of the Tel al-Zatar camp by Israeli allied Christian militias in Beirut. Arab states approve of the Syrian presence as an Arab deterrent force in October. In 1978, in reprisal for a Palestinian attack, Israel launches a major invasion of southern Lebanon, raising the specter of another full-scale Middle East war. The Israeli action represented a total breakdown of last year's ceasefire in southern Lebanon and brought the worst fighting in the region since March 1978, when Israel mounted a similar invasion of Lebanon. In June 1982, following the attempted assassination of the Israeli ambassador to Britain by a Palestinian splinter group, Israel launches a full-scale invasion of Lebanon. In September of this year, pro-Israeli President-elect Bashir Gemayel is assassinated. Israel occupies West Beirut, where the Phalangist militia kills thousands of Palestinians in the Sabra and Shatila camps. Bashir's elder brother Amin is elected president. Mainly U.S., French, and Italian peacekeeping force arrives in Beirut. On April 18, 1983, the U.S. Embassy in Beirut was devastated by a car bomb, killing 63 people, including 17 Americans. Then, on October 23rd, Lebanese terrorists evaded security measures and drove a truck packed with explosives into the U.S. Marine barracks in Beirut, killing 241 U.S. military personnel. 58 French soldiers were killed almost simultaneously in a separate suicide terrorist attack. Following its 1982 invasion of and 1985 partial withdrawal from Lebanon, Israel created the South Lebanon Army, SLA, composed of Lebanese in order to advance its political and security objectives in Lebanon. In 1985, most Israeli troops withdraw from the SLA security zone in the south. In October 1990, the Syrian Air Force attacks the presidential palace at Babda and Aoun flees. This formally ends the Civil War. But does it really end? Let's see. You would think people would have learned from this. Oh no, we have as humans employ selective and short memories, I guess, and the murderous things we do teach each other in the name of religion.